Hello, brothers and sisters of light and dark. Welcome to my page. My page is about common sense. I try to keep it down on the nitty-gritty under 10 minutes, and if it goes over 10 minutes to something very important, and not important to liberals, libertarians, people who believe in God, people like to smoke, people like to drink, people like ayahuasca, people like DMT, people are religious, people are sensitive, NPCs, EDBs, all of you, that's like 80% of you should not be watching my videos, because I'm a crazy man. I'm really a fucking crazy man. Because I'm not your average man. I'm not your beat up man. Alright. Since, of course, we should all take everything as satire until you understand what the facts are, which most people don't even know what facts are, let's talk about our topic for today. This video is going to be about, how to prevent your heart from getting too attached to the opposite sex. Now, I know by fact and by far, when we have a lot of beta males out there who turn into incels and they start shooting up schools and shit like that. So this message is mainly for guys. And I'm also going to give a message to women who do fit in the same criteria as some beta males who turn into incels and end up mass murdering, shooting people, okay? Other than that, I'm just going to give you some pointers. Anybody who's innocent out there have a good heart. Please understand the first thing I have done, because I remember, I'm tell you how my life went when I was younger. When I was younger, I was dealing with this girl, and everybody told me she was a whore. I lost my virginity when I was 31, 32 years old. But this is when I was like 19. I was like 19, 17. And what happens is that people told me not to sleep with her. People told me, but one thing led to another. I ended up getting the chance to see her body, but I didn't get a chance to sleep with her. Because we didn't have no condoms. Lucky for me, I didn't do it, but she was a whore. She wanted to do it. And I was basically, hey, I was thinking about condoms at that time. And I was like, yo, I didn't want to sleep with no used vaginas. And then I was like, okay, so I didn't want to do it to her. So what happened is that she was like forcing me. She was trying to force me to do it to her. And then I still fell in love with her. I still felt emotions for her. But I didn't want to do it to her because people kept telling me not to do it to her, okay? This is when I was in high school. And we was in a sort of a semi-relationship, okay? I was really blue-pilled during those days, and I was getting really emotional. So I was thinking with my head between my legs, but I didn't really want to do it because I was kind of scared, which is it happens to a lot more guys, though, okay? But other than that, because women lose their virginity, people already know that most women lose their virginity between ages of 13 and 16. Most men don't, okay? Because there's a lot more guys out there who are still average-looking Joe Schmoes, who have a basic job in a basic house, which most women will reject you. Average-looking male Joe Schmoes, okay? But what I learned when I was intellectual in high school, which I was getting kudos for my knowledge, I was a 3.0 student and everything else, I was pretty depressed and lonely. But I had to find a way to control my sexual desires. The first thing I did is realize that you should never trust anyone. Okay, because I started watching movies where people was taking advantage of people, and I was still emotional, and I didn't want to do that. Okay, the second thing is basically always stay away from dirty things, because I had OCD. And of course, I just didn't like the fact that people said she was with this guy and then she was with this guy. And then I get letters and saying that this is my boy. It was a whole bunch of drama she gave me, my really first girlfriend. The third thing I realized is that to keep myself busy. Okay, this is a very important thing. A lot of guys who commit suicide, they don't keep themselves busy enough or occupied by helping or even finding, associates who are like-minded like themselves. That's the fourth thing. You have to know people to keep yourself from getting too involved. Okay, now I'm relating all this to women too as well, because if you keep yourself busy and then in your mind's eye you are basically healthy, in your mind's eye you shouldn't trust anybody, in your mind's eye you basically are just keeping yourself occupied by knowing those four things. And plus, she wasn't no virgin, okay? So I definitely didn't want to do it to her. She wanted me to do it to her, and I was like, no. And the next thing, you had to have something that you do and don't like. Your standards has to be high. And also, I was also trained. That's another thing, too. Being trained by an alpha. Okay, that's how I became an alpha. I was a beta at one time. I was a beta alpha. And I also became an alpha over time. But I never slept with used vaginas. You can still be a beta alpha and not sleep with a female. Yes, you can. by doing things for her, by giving your time and your money and stuff like that, and she feed off that energy. But you shouldn't do that, guys, because that's what women do. Now, for you females, I know you don't purchase anything from men. You just use your body and your looks and shit. If you're an innocent girl and you're a beta female, okay, and you don't wear makeup and shit, and you're innocent, you know you wanted a boyfriend, always get the approval of your father, okay? Like, a lot of guys don't get approval from their alpha fathers. Most fathers are not alphas. They're usually beta alpha construct males, which basically are believers in monogamous relationships, right? So I started learning about polygyny and how that can actually build up a man much stronger than what he is. The one thing I also learned is that she was a nymphomaniac. I didn't know what the term was. I learned that in high school. And people told me, look up your terms. Just like you said, you always in the library. I'm always in the library reading my books and shit. And so I started getting, detached from her, because 80% of women who have a large libido, okay, are most likely have these signs on them that they floss all of the time. Especially now these days, we got thoughts that's showing them, narcissistic females showing themselves all of the time on TV. And also now we got Twitter and shit. Before that time, there was no phones and shit. I remember when the beepers was out, I had one. I had a little Cricket. I had the Cricket phones. I had those large phones. They was in monochrome. I had those motherfuckers. But I was trying to pull women in a certain particular way, but women wasn't pulling. The only way they was pulling is because of my sense of humor and my good conversation and skills and shit. So I started dwelling with being a gynecologist, and then I became a fetish gigolo by getting paid for doing services for women, even single mothers. Yes. But I never fucked them. I used strap-ons and shit. But that's another subject for another day. But to keep yourself from heartbreak, another thing you have to do is to test people out before you get involved. Okay? Test people out before you get involved. Another thing is you have to have something in trade. So if a female is doing this for you and you're doing this, it always has to be a trade. Okay? And what's another thing too? What else is there? So if you're a female listening to this, you have to do the same thing and vice versa. Most women don't really have a lot of things to do, so what they'll do on the lowdown is to socialize, what they shouldn't really be doing. Get approval from your father if you're a girl, okay? But for a guy, keep yourself occupied. Never trust a female. Always test her out. If you're a girl, you test him out, okay? Because you're going to have to do this. And also being upfront, which I should have said firstly, because most of the time, most people are not upfront with their standards. You're going to get a lot of rejections, okay? You have to talk about all your history. You have to talk about all your standards and your needs. And 9 times out of 10, I go up to females and I usually say, are you a virgin? All the way back since I was 20 years old. I say, are you a virgin? Because I never dealt with females who had any inkling of socialization in their mind's eye. And you know what also I learned? That when I was inspecting all these pussies and shit, wearing gloves and doing inspector gadget type shit with females, I learned that the females who have the larger libias that can stretch at least about an inch more are the bigger whores, okay? And 9 times out of 10, their vaginas are not tight, because I use the 2-finger method, and it does work. Yes, it does, okay? Other than that, that's really all I got to say about that, how to protect yourself from getting heartbroken. When you first encounter someone, you always talk about everything up front. You have to talk about everything up front. Then you have to test them. Then you have to see if they're gonna meet your standards. Then the thing is gonna come down to is you're gonna get hurt because of the attraction of a person. You have to eliminate that by keeping busy. You gotta keep busy. You cannot be getting involved just because she's beautiful. You know, you could find somebody else, especially for a man. If you're a man and you're a real alpha like me, okay, you usually ask females if they're a virgin or into polygyny. These front things will usually turn off 80% of females who are not really disciplined in their mind. But if you're a female, you have to get approval from the father or your family in some kind of way, so you can get approval from your families. Because what happens is that your family is the one who's protecting you. Daughters should be more protected, but they're not protected in the Western worlds, in society. And as you should already know, women have a habit of being seasonal. So if they're not trained early, okay, because I have 2 daughters myself, they're going to become corrupt. They're going to become corrupt. It's like pretty much like a 70% thing. Now for boys, however, boys can't be disloyal when they already have 2 or 3 women. Okay, that's how it's supposed to be. Men is supposed to have polygyny, and while women are supposed to be focused on that polygyny, so they can have a family, so they all come together and socialize with one another. But that's all I really got to say. I hope you learned something in this video. Okay, and I love you all, but I hate the many of you because I'm not your average man. I'm not your Peter Pan. So that's my advice to all of you. And this is all off the top of my head. So if you really want to protect your own heart, you're going to have to keep yourself busy. You're going to have higher standards, because you might end up killing somebody. You don't want to do that. And if you do try to kill somebody, you got to do things professionally, because you can't be having all this evidence in the car and shit like that. They can track everything, man. You can't be doing none of that shit. Me, I got cameras around when I say people going to die. So I'm going to kill them if they're going to die. I do it a different way. If I say you're going to die, you most likely going to die. But I'm not going to be around my cameras, okay? They link me to, they going to automatically link me because I'm a suspect. You must have been talking to me. They're going to look at the inbox. You're going to look at all that stuff. But you already been told that I don't do things the conventional way, okay? You know, that's not a threat. That's a promise, okay? But other than that, people like to take chances, and people take them inch and they'll take them out. These people you have to avoid because they're not stable, okay? They're not stable. But people call me unstable for just being upfront and being honest, okay? I'm just trying to tell you, you gotta give unstable people a chance, though. You got to be logical about it, because let's say, for instance, you know how human nature is. Next thing you know, they want to try to cross you. You give them a chance. You at least speak about it. You have to speak the magic. You have to speak it. The good way out, the bad way out, or the professional way, the way they're supposed to be. The professional way is the way they're supposed to be. Communicative and shit. They're supposed to be honest and upfront. But you gotta know, human beings will change. They're gonna get seasonal. They're not gonna, you didn't test them, okay? If you didn't test them, you're gonna have a problem right there. You have to keep testing every time. Every time. There's always gonna be a test. There's always gonna be a test. And yeah, it's not about trust. It's about security. Okay, and everybody wants security, right? Just like when they order a job and shit, you know, you can quit your job, you can quit your relationship, but if you want someone to be loyal, that's almost impossible without doing the proper testing throughout the years. And that's just what I do. I do psychology and dark psychology. Good manipulation. Sometimes it's a little dark sometimes to get what I want and get what I need out of a person. What is the limitation of a person? There you go. Yada, yada, yada. But if you have any comments, questions, insults, or roast fest, you put it down below. Please check my credentials before you run amok. Please check my credential before I do something that you don't want me to do. Okay, all right. But other than that, I'm gonna finish watching my movie, which I'm watching The Blind Spot. Watching goddamn Blind Spot, and my daughter's about to get up and get something to eat. And so my ex-wife, from Ethiopia, who was actually a virgin, tried to flip up on me, and I told her, I got the one up, or I actually got two up on you, because I told you I know the system more than you, and you're gonna run to the system, and they're gonna try to help you the best way they can. But me, I got more. I got too much evidence, because the system's supposed to go by evidence, right? And so if I file first, which I've been doing, filing for my defense first, and next thing you know, she's gonna pay child support. She got to give me that 50% alimony and child support, because I have a disability and shit, and that's just how it is. And she's making more than me because I helped her get that job, okay? When I help you get that job and you got all them privileges because of me, you are going to pay me forever, okay? Because I got 50% custody. You guys got to start going to the courts and start filing paperwork for yourself, y'all. Y'all guys are losing the battle. I keep hearing stories where guys is losing this. The guy just a little recently, this one guy showed it on TV, how he killed his ex-wife and shit like that. I'm like, damn, he turned into an incel. And black guys don't usually need to do that. You know, I know there's no virgins nowhere, but still, you're gonna have to put your face out there for international purposes. You got to know where to look for the females, and I can give you a whole lot of pointers on how to find virgin females. And for you women who may be watching me, I could give you a whole lot of information on how to be truly feminine and pure. But if you're not a virgin, you're not pure no longer. You're contaminated. And other than that, I hope you learned something from my videos. There's certainly a lot of personality traits that women are missing to be intellectually, emotionally, okay, to be emotionally intelligent, to add in the relationship. But you got to come to me to get that information, okay? So if you want to fiddle-dilly your time away until you get 40 years old, and then you come to me, it may be too late for you because you're 40 years old, okay? And then you'll go to someone like Kevin Samuels to give you critique and try to force you to acknowledge that you had wasted your life fucking away. You go ahead and pay $300 to listen to his critique, okay, his ridicule, okay, his ad hominem attacks on you, okay? But other than that, I don't do that, okay? I don't do that. I try to help you out there. This is what I do. So this video is about how to protect your heart from heartbreak. It could be named many different things, but I talk about many different things because I'm schizo, okay? And that don't mean nothing, because I'm just really creative, and I'm a renaissance. I'm an intellectual. Schizo is related to being intellectual, and intellectual is related to being renaissance, depending on how broad your scope of intellectual knowledge is. And if you can keep it concise, like what I can do within 14 minutes, okay, then everything will be fine, especially when you do your research, okay? But as I said before, to protect your heart is to make sure that you have your standards are so high that way you know that in advance you don't have to deal with that person. There's certain places people can stay in, or boxes. Like, if this person is capable of doing this in this box, or this person is capable of doing this, and you should always put that third box, is that there will always be a knucklehead or a sister out there who's trying to be a prostitute. Okay? Okay, a knucklehead or a fuckboy. I know some of you women like a knucklehead. That's old school. Knuckleheads, okay? Other than that, that's all I really got to say. I love you all, but I hate the many of you. And I love the animals more than humans, but I don't fuck the animals. I'm out of here, guys. And I revised my profile down there of who I am, my credentials. Please check them out. I do artist work. I do a lot of sketch art. I do a whole lot of different stuff that you guys don't know, because I'm real alpha. There's not a lot of guys like me out there. Okay? Other than that, peace.